Hey guys, welcome back to Live with Spilling the Reality with Trisha and Kylie as a part of the Wrestle Hand Show. Thanks everyone who's joining us live, and if you are doing so, please drop us some comments as we go through the show, and we'll be sure to address those. For everyone who's watching us later, please hit us with a thumbs up, subscribe, and like on, I already said that, a comment on YouTube, and we will address those in the show. And we told you guys to do that yesterday, and you did not disappoint. All of our social media was lighting up yesterday with a few congratulations, this was a great show, a few positive comments, but we also got a few hot takes, and by a few I mean a lot of hot takes from the Nicole Franzel supporters out there. So yesterday, hot take, Nicole Franzel is playing a good game. Thoughts on that, Kylie?
So I'm not going to go as far as saying Nicole Franzel is playing a good game. I think we can say Nicole Franzel is playing a very safe game that will get her far into the game. So, yes, that will take her into the jury phase. I don't know. It could possibly set her up for a win. I'm not going to take that off of the table because this is what she did when she won her season. But right now, Nicole Franzel's not making any moves. I'm not going to backtrack from that. Several people were upset that we're just hating on Nicole because we don't like her voice and we don't like her showmances, but that's not it. I don't care about her voice. It is annoying, but it doesn't bother me. But mainly I don't like that Nicole turns everything into a personal attack on herself and that she plays the victim. And she doesn't target people because strategically it's the best thing to do. She targets people because personally they hurt her feelings or she feels that they are bad for her as a person, not as a Big Brother player. So, womp womp. We're not going
Yeah.
to change our opinion on Nicole.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, this doesn't even have to do with our opinion. We are giving you the facts of what's happening in the house. While, yes, we are Janelle stans, do we think Janelle's being a bully? No. She is reacting to what was done to her on live television that she didn't get a chance to react to in the house. And when it comes to there, we have people not necessarily saying this to us, but there's just comments out there that we've talked about this before on other players. If this were a man, would this be different? If Cody was a female, would we view him? Blah, blah, blah. On when it comes to Nicole, if we view her, if people are making comments because of the game she's playing as a female, no, I would disagree with that because if she were a male and she was being as whiny as she is, playing the victim as she is, we would have the same comments, as would most people that are out there on social media. Janelle would have the same comments. It doesn't make a difference that she's a female doing this. So yeah, and I would say we comment on David way more. So it has nothing to do with her gender. Yeah. So yeah,
especially whenever we are full on supporters of women playing strong strategic games and owning the shit that they do. So Janelle, badass woman. Day, Bay, badass women. And I don't know if it's just that Nicole is intimidated by strong, opinionated women, but there's something about it that definitely gets her pressed because as soon as Janelle was out of the house, she had to focus her attention on Bailey because Bailey said something to hurt her feelings. And it's just a thing of where, historically speaking, Nicole Franzel cannot play without a male shield in front of her. Yes, her two seasons prior they were showmances. This season she doesn't have the showmance, but she does have the pre-existing relationship set up with Cody, and that is who she's playing behind. So whenever Nicole Franzel can own her game and step up and wants to be cutthroat and ruthless and really own it, then that's great. We're going to be the first ones to applaud her. But right now that's just not what's happening.
Exactly. So y'all, please hit us with your hot takes. If we're not saying something you agree with, say it. Like, hit us with the comments. We're here for a great debate.
Yeah, we love to have conversations with people, and it's part of the Big Brother fandom is to have differing opinions. So if you don't like the takes that we're giving, leave us a comment and we will gladly discuss them.
Yep. And I mean, we may not bring it up on the show. This was just we got a lot, y'all. We got a lot of comments on this yesterday. Not just on YouTube. We got a lot all over all of our social media. People were replying to this. So we might not bring your hot take on the show necessarily, but we are responding to all of the comments that we get. So if you're wanting our thoughts, hit us with a comment. Give us your thoughts. If it might not be the same as ours, and that's perfectly okay. But one of our favorite people in the house to talk about outside of Nicole is our boy David. He had a hot take about himself yesterday. Let me show. We have a clip from the feed yesterday, and I'm hoping you can hear it. If not, we're going to repeat it back to you. So,
David, what's your IQ?
187.
You are a liar. You don't know it off the top of your dome.
So I think it cut off the beginning of it. Tyler says, David, what is your IQ? And he instantly responds with, 187. Y'all, we're here to tell you that Albert Einstein had an IQ of 160. So I'm not sure if y'all been
Hawking had an IQ of in the 160s too. Like what?
Yeah. So this man is claiming that he is more intelligent than all of them. And I'm sorry, but if you've watched the game, I'm going to have some serious doubts about David's IQ being in the 180s.
Yeah, there was a Twitter response to this clip, and it said, did he mean his credit score?
Yeah, like he's gotten this confused because
there's no way his IQ is 187.
Yeah.
We have a comment that says, what about Ian? Ian was not in this conversation, but Ian probably legit knows his IQ, and I mean, it's probably honestly in like the 140s at least.
Yeah, or 150s. Yeah, Ian's super smart, but he's not running around the house claiming to have a 187 IQ like our friend David. So we're always here for David to keep us entertained, not necessarily by great gameplay, but by the antics that he manages to get himself into.
Yeah, I love how his game is playing dumb. But he's been like, but I have an IQ of 187, y'all.
Off the charts, yo.
Okay. Well, anyways, moving into some strategic things that happened on the field, the feeds last night. Ian has a conversation with Bailey that he's starting to see more clearly in the house. So he has a conversation with Bailey, and Bailey's talking about she doesn't want this season to be a follow the leader season because we've seen that a few times in the past. And I think she's
had a month
that
straight of it.
She's seeing that that's what's happening. And so she's kind of complaining about it. And Ian agrees that he doesn't want to be a follow the leader season either. And they talk about the leader of the core alliance. And Ian says that Cody is the leader. And Bailey says it's Dani. But either way.
And what's great is that as they're having this conversation, they're like, well, who do you think? And Bailey's like, well, I'll say it if you say it. And they're like, well, okay, we'll say it at the same time. 1, 2, 3. And then they say the different names. So Ian sees Cody. Bailey sees Dani. I don't think that Ian sees Dani as even the top two. He's definitely focused on the info they got from the wall yeller and that it being Cody or Nicole. But Bailey's opinion sees it a little bit differently, and she's seeing Dani running it.
Yeah. So they agree that they'll talk on this a little bit later in the night.
Yeah, so they're getting on the same page. They agree that they're going to have to go after this core, and they're trying to figure out what's the best way to go about it. Thank God.
And then we have Kaysar, who is ready to blow the house up. Well, not really. Everyone just wants him to blow the house up. But Kaysar doesn't really think that that's a good game move. But Ian and Bailey have separate conversations with Kaysar, and talk about how, hey, Kaysar, you going to blow the house up before you go out? And Kaysar's kind of like, why would I do that? And they're like, well, it would be beneficial. Yeah, it could help us with those core 4. But anyway,
And
sorry to disappoint. It doesn't seem like that's going to happen at this
yeah, and
point.
Kaysar does talk about that he has contemplated in his eviction speech, like laying it out there, saying, these people are running the house, y'all got to do something about it. But then he says that he thinks in the long run that it's going to be better for the people left in the house if that core four is left alone and they think that they're running the house and they think people aren't onto them. So Kaysar's like, I don't think that's a great idea. And besides, I've been telling you people this for like a month that this is what is happening and you're not listening. So why am I going to do it in my eviction speech? I mean, is it going to help me? And everybody's like, well, no, but it might help us. And Kaysar's like, well, I don't really care.
Yeah, I really wonder what their ideology here is, because it's like, this doesn't make sense strategically. It does make a lot of sense for my entertainment value, but it doesn't make sense strategically at all. Kaysar is spot on. This wouldn't be a good move for the house either. If they know about it secretly, all him blowing it up is going to do is solidify that alliance even more, and they're going to be like, well, they know about
it. Draw back together.
Yes, that's all it's going to do is push them together even more.
Yeah, and especially going into the HOH comp, like, any chance that we get people throwing the comp, and there's some talk about that we'll get to later. I think Kaysar blowing it up, calling those 4 people out for working so closely together, I think that's just going to make everybody really go out and compete hard for the HOH, and we really, really want to see the power shift. So don't think that's the best plan, but it'll be interesting to see what Kaysar decides to do. My guess is he stays classy and just exits the game.
Classy, bougie, ratchet. We have a comment that says, I miss BB After Dark, and I don't know why they're not showing BB After Dark. Have you heard anything on that?
Well, I know that they're doing like their little show on the Facebook channel. And like in week 1, we saw them play the game where they were supposed to be having the BB debates where, who is the most attractive house guest, who had the funniest DRs. And so I think that was their first little segment, but we haven't seen anything super organized, and I haven't been looking at the Facebook page to see if they're posting anything else. I don't have time for that on top of everything else, so I'm not sure. But
yeah, it could have been canceled. So BB After Dark is a show, just like all other shows. It's very possible that it could have been canceled. Maybe the ratings weren't as good last season. The ratings
of Orwell.
They lost Orwell.
Big Brother After Dark.
Yeah, he rest in peace. But the regular Big Brother ratings aren't nowhere near where they normally are. So it's just very possible that they would rather put all the ratings into the CBS primetime show versus BB After Dark.
Yeah.
So after that, speaking of HOH comp coming up, Ian has a conversation with Cody about the next move.
So Ian is plotting with Cody, and he's asking him. Cody asks Ian, who's the biggest threats to your game? And Ian's like, oh, well, I haven't really thought about it, playing dumb. And he says, but I've heard the core 4 talking about we need to go after Bailey and Davon. And Cody's like, yes, that sounds like a great idea. That's exactly what you should do. And Ian is like, okay, well, will you throw the HOH to me if it gets down to you and me? And Cody's like, yeah, we can definitely make that happen. But realistically, Ian is on to Cody. And so if he can convince Cody to throw this HOH to him and then ends up putting him up, that is going to be sweet karma. And I'm here for it.
Yeah, don't want to hurt anyone's feelings by saying we want Nicole F up, but we do.
But we do, and Cody would be a great person to be on the block with her. I would love it to see them on the block together under Ian's HOH.
Speaking of Cody and Nicole, we have another player in the house who's wrecking this house more than Janelle ever could have. The wall yeller.
Yes, the true game changer. So we told y'all that 2 nights ago they had a wall yeller, and the wall yeller said Nicole and Cody are playing.
The Nicole and Cody are playing everyone.
Yes, and so this is actually most of the time when there's a wall yeller, like we've seen past house guests say that it's not something that they really take seriously because they don't know what's going on in the real world and they just take it with a grain of salt and they don't really put a whole lot of merit behind it. But this wall yeller has actually caused some waves in the house. And we know that there was a lot of conversations when they were in lockdown. They put them in lockdown in separate rooms. And so they had like Cody and Day together, or not Cody and Day, Tyler and Davon together. And we know that some good conversations came out of that. And so we even 2 days later, they're still talking about the wall yeller, and we get a conversation with Cody and Nicole says that that has just really shook her, and she doesn't think that it's something they're going to be able to completely recover from.
Yeah. And then conversations continue. So Davon and Nicole have a conversation about the wall yeller. And so Nicole's like really freaking out, y'all. She is paranoid about this wall yeller. And Davon is having a conversation. She's like, I haven't even heard your name come up since the wall yeller, which is not true. Maybe Davon hasn't personally heard it, but it's definitely coming up, especially from Nicole's closest ally prior to this was Ian.
Yeah.
But this wall yeller has changed the course for Ian.
Yeah.
So Davon says, hey, I haven't heard your name come up even after the wall yeller. And Nicole's like, well, it must have been a fan of Janelle to say something. And anyways, Davon is like, well, I have your back to the end. So that brings us to the alliance we're calling Day Cole. Davon's like, look, I've got your back. And Nicole's like, I've got your back. And we know on day one, we saw in the episode that they, Nicole cried to Davon and was like, thank you. I owe you my life in this game pretty much. I'll do what I can to protect you. And Davon's like, okay. So I think based on what's happening so far, Davon trusts Nicole as far as she can throw her, but definitely keeping her within arm's reach. I don't know so much that Nicole is being truthful to Davon. We know her OG target is currently Bailey.
Yeah.
So we'll see where this lands.
In the Bailey and Davon scenario that they're nominated together, I do think that Nicole and Dani are going to push for Bailey to be evicted. So I think that Nicole has Davon's back to that extent. I don't know long term if they are going to work together moving forward, but I think as far as like this next week is concerned, Nicole is going to push for Davon to not be the target. So this relationship might be a little bit repaired. And I feel like if Nicole is able to keep the heat off of Davon and save her in the game, that it could be a good relationship for him moving forward. But, Nicole's going to probably have to prove it a little bit for Davon to really trust her.
Yeah, Davon's definitely burnt by Nicole, and doesn't trust her. So, we'll see how this works out. Nicole's other alliance member is Dani, and she just kind of keeps going down. So every day I feel like we talk up a little bit more about Dani and where she's at in the game, and her stock just keeps plummeting. She is the Dow Jones.
Yeah. So Cody tells Enzo that he asked Dani, what is she thinking? And she responds with, I don't know. And he's like, are you talking about out of the house or in the house? And she's like, in the house. And so that sends Cody like on red alert. And he's thinking that maybe Davon said something to Dani that got her feeling a little iffy about their situation. Or he's thinking maybe it was Tyler, and maybe Tyler is throwing Cody and Enzo under the bus. And Enzo's like, yo, that's what it is. It's Tyler.
Yo, 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 meow. Yeah, so this is kind of painting a target on Tyler's back as well. We also talked a little bit yesterday about Memphis's back being injured, and the strategy there. And it looks like it's playing out, y'all. Like, people are really not targeting Memphis anymore. I mean, he was a target week 1 or was it week 1? Week 2, because he was the HOH. And he made some controversial nomination speeches when he made his noms. So he's kind of been a target for being a little bit of a douchebag. But now he's not so much a target because he can't compete.
Yeah, he talks yesterday and he says that his back is feeling well enough that he thinks he could do a competition like sliding the beer mugs. But in terms of if they have an endurance comp like the wall, I don't even know if he's going to be able to get up there, much less compete in it. I mean, he's talking about at night that he's having to sleep in different positions so that he can like alleviate some of the pain in his back. So I'm going to be really interested tonight to see the veto comp and see what he does exactly to hurt himself, because he's for real hurting guys. Like, but they're kind of looking at him like, oh, he's not an immediate threat anymore. We can kind of push him back on the back burner because he's not going to win any more comps since he's injured.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Christmas go all the way to the end. She started as this crazy comp beast. She was a target because she was so physical, so social, and she got carried all the way to the end because she was on a scooter all season. And now we're kind of seeing the same thing happen with Memphis. And we have a great comment over here, which is perfect for this segue. Is Dani below Memphis yet in stocks? Yeah, as of today, yes, because Memphis may stick around a little bit longer when it comes to the game just because of his injury. Whereas Dani is really, like, every day, y'all, it's another bullseye just painted on her back. So it's going to take a lot of soap and water to get those targets off her back right now. So, yeah.
We also get Dani and Nicole talking about Cody, and Dani is pissed at Cody because Cody asks her, like, what's wrong? And she says, well, I smoothed everything over with Tyler. And Cody says the comment of, well, I didn't tell you to talk to Tyler. And Dani's like, oh, hell no. Who are you to tell me who I can talk to and who I can't talk to? And this really pisses her off. And she even says that she wants to punch him in the face. So we're seeing the breakdown of all of these alliances, but especially this relationship with Dani and Cody. It's kind of on the rocks.
Yeah, and I would be pissed too, because there is no man that is going to tell me who I can and cannot talk to in this house. There's no person that can tell me who I can and can't talk to. You don't get to say when I talk to who, whatever. So, yeah, I'd be pissed too. She was crying to Nicole about this. She was very bothered about this conversation. In the Big Brother house, she was really breaking down. So, and then we see some more, the demise of the Slick Six, this big alliance that's kind of moving the house, making this upcoming HOH really interesting. Dani does have a conversation with Cody that she has a suspicion that Bailey and Davon are going to expose the Slick Six, depending on whoever gets HOH. So they're kind of worried about the upcoming HOH.
Yeah, Bailey apparently had told Christmas that if she wins HOH, she has something to tell her, but she's not going to tell her until Thursday. And so Dani is immediately like, okay, she's going to rat us out. And, maybe we need to be the ones to tell people about it so that she's not in the power position to expose the alliance. What do you think? Do you think she's going to do it?
Shoot, as things have gone with this house, I don't think so. No one, y'all, these players are all talking, no action. That's all they are, in my opinion. So what do you think? You think they're going to?
No, I don't think that they'll blow it up. I think that they'll wait and see who wins HOH, go from there. But I'm just afraid that unless somebody outside of the core four wins an HOH, that it's just going to stay the same.
But how stupid of it was Christmas to say this? Like, why would you hold on to it and then actually say it if you need to? But what strategy was behind saying, I have something to tell you. I might have something to tell you, depending on how the HOH goes. What?
Yeah.
Excuse me? So that, I think, is just a total shit show. But anyway, these players, these all-stars are a next level. And then Dani asked Enzo if it was Bailey or Davon who said that she and Cody are so close, because as of today, we are not close. No, she doesn't say that, but she does want to talk about who said that me and Cody are so close. Enzo says he's not sure, but the paranoia has got to stop because it is flowing rampant within the Big Brother house. And then Dani says, hey, think we're going to flip on the Slick Six within the next week or two, which this is what Enzo predicted. He was like, this alliance is going to blow up. This house is going to blow up within the next few weeks. So this isn't anything new that Enzo is hearing. But it is interesting that Dani's talking about this with Enzo. And we know that Enzo's already kind of tired of the girls because they talk too much.
Yeah.
So Enzo does say that he feels like he's babysitting Bailey and Davon to Dani, but really he feels like he's babysitting all the girls, having to keep a pulse on who they're talking to at all times. And Dani told Enzo that she will not say any names, even if she has to lie to them. So
Dani has no trust in Bailey and Davon. Bailey and Davon don't trust Dani, so this alliance is definitely done. I don't think it was ever the one that was going to carry far into the game anyways, but they're moving to opposite sides for sure. So the last thing we're going to talk about today is we do get this conversation with Ian and Kaysar. And Ian kind of says the same thing to Kaysar that Bailey says to Christmas, in that I've got something that I want to share with you on Thursday, like right before the eviction. And Kaysar's like, okay, is it something that can help me? And Ian's like, no, but it can help me. And but I don't want to say it now because I don't want people to associate us together, and I don't want the target to be moved to me because I'm talking to you. Guys, it's so stressful and it's so sad. There's like literally nothing Kaysar can do to help himself.
Yeah. So Ian wants Kaysar to have information, but doesn't want to tell him what it is until, it's pretty much too late.
Yeah. And Ian is just, I wouldn't have nominated you. And like, this is a good conversation that they should have had 3 weeks ago. But like in the 11th hour, whenever Kaysar's on the block and nobody's willing to stick their neck out for him, even though they're all seeing this, like finally, it's taken 4 weeks, but these people are finally seeing where they lie in this pecking order and who's really pulling the strings. They don't want to save Kaysar. Like,
every single conversation in this house is too little, too late. And it's still the strategy behind getting rid of Kaysar is there's none. There is zero strategy. This is all based on emotions, which is why we are pissed at this move, because it isn't a good game move for anyone. This is stupid.
Yeah, and Jason Roy on Twitter said that he will go to the CBS lot and be a wall yeller. And he's like, what y'all want me to yell at these people? And while I think it's great that the wall yeller actually did impact the game, really exposing the Cody and Nicole alliance doesn't do that much this week. It doesn't help Kaysar. And so we need something yelled about Christmas. Like, go in there and be like, Christmas has a power. Do something, lie to get the target onto Christmas, because that's the only way we're going to save Kaysar. So anybody living in Los Angeles, got a little free time, and you want to impact the Big Brother game, please go throw Christmas under the bus, even if it's not true. That's the only way Kaysar's going to be saved, because they see where the targets are, but they're too afraid to make a move.
Okay, light bulb moment right here. Here's an idea, y'all. Anyone brave enough to go be a yeller, get one of those microphones that I know everyone has seen on TikTok. Like, I'm a 30-year-old millennial who has TikTok because it's quarantine. I know you've seen those TikToks where the person's driving on the road with the microphone that it can play through their speakers, play Christmas music, just play some Christmas music and drive round and round by the Big Brother lot. And I know smart Ian or David with his 187 IQ will pick up on what the message we're trying to get across.
I think Christmas.
Yes. I think this is a great idea. Just you can ho 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 or sing I don't know.
Jingle all the way.
Whatever you want to do. We support it. If you need us to Amazon package you one of those, just DM us your address. We'll send it right over because we support this idea that much.
Yeah, no, it's got to, I mean, the only way that Kaysar's going to stay is not for people to realize, oh my gosh, these people are working together, but they've got to tie Christmas into this. And that's why I think Christmas is in a really good position because she has made a lot of really good relationships, but nobody is associating her with this bigger group. So Christmas is the one that everyone needs to be afraid of, not Kaysar, who's on an island by himself.
Exactly. It would be such a better game move for these misfits.
They haven't associated Christmas with that group, and that's going to be their downfall. So another one of their numbers it will go with Kaysar, and they're going to save, Christmas. So tragic.
So, one thing I would be curious about is, we're expecting another twist to come up. And I am so excited that we are having James Rhine, because it sounds like I say Ryan with my accent, but y'all, I'm saying Rhine, I swear. We're so excited to have James on tomorrow to talk about, because he's played with Kaysar and Janelle in BB6 and BB7, and Kaysar came back. America voted Kaysar back in. I think that was on the All-Star season, right?
No, BB6.
Oh, it was on BB6. Okay. So Kaysar was voted back in on BB6. And I cannot wait to talk to James about the possible twist that we might get on Thursday and his ideas around this, because I know he has some and he's played with it before. And I want to talk to him about how this could impact the game.
Yeah, so hopefully the Kaysar fans and us are hoping that there's going to be some type of twist where maybe the battle pack starts with Kaysar. We were hopeful for it to start with Janelle, but maybe it'll start with Kaysar. Maybe he gets to be, somebody gets to be voted back in. Maybe there's a puzzle, something. We don't want to see Kaysar go yet.
Yeah. So the Caitlin Herman puzzle will come back. We don't know. We're just very optimistic. And can't wait to talk to James about it tomorrow. Yeah. So,
and James, Ed says, ask James to compare the All-Star seasons. Yeah, this is definitely something we'll get into with him tomorrow. And if y'all have any questions for James, you can leave them in the comments after the video's posted. Send us a DM. We'll be sure to get those questions asked. But you'll want to tune in tomorrow for sure.
On our Instagram, we have in the story one of the little questions options. We've gotten quite a few on there, and that makes it really easy because it collects all the questions for us and holds them. So if you want to comment here, that's easy, or slide into our story on Instagram and ask there at RealiTEA_TRHS. All right, so we do have an episode coming on tonight. It's Wednesday. We expect to see the veto comp tonight, which was the Vine comp. So this is where Memphis will injure himself, and we'll get to hosting. Yes. So I don't know if y'all caught on to the fact that we didn't list Memphis as one of the players of the comp, but he still managed to get injured. So I don't know if Kevin jumped down on top of him or I don't know what happened to cause him to get in. I can't wait to see this play out in the episode tonight. So don't forget to check out the Big Brother episode tonight on CBS. We'll chat a little bit about that tomorrow, a very tiny amount, because don't forget that we will have BB6, BB7 legend James Rhine on the show tomorrow. He played in the first All-Stars, so it's going to be a good time getting to ask him all of our questions and pick his brain on all things strategy, and not to mention his sassy tweets that he's putting out for all of our entertainment. So don't forget to check out our episode tomorrow at 12 o'clock. And that brings us to our tweet of the day.
Tweet.
Comes from Scotty Rodriguez. If everyone remembers, Scotty had the Elmo voice from what season was he on? 18?
20. BB
20. Oh, he was on 20. Okay. So he says, season 20, evicting season 16 is what I need. And we picked this as our tweet of the day because it's facts.
Yeah. Tyler and Bailey coming together and voting out Cody and Nicole. Whoop, whoop. That's what we're here for, guys.
Yeah, we support this tweet, Scotty. Thanks for the great content. Also, if anyone's following Scotty on Instagram, we get regular updates on his vegetable farm, which is like, I don't know why this is so entertaining. But anyways, check out his vegetables on his Instagram. All right, guys. So that brings us to the end of our episode today. We have a comment here. Let me stop sharing this so we can comment from Skywiz55. These people need to take out people who are not playing, but in saying that, that could mean everyone.
Yes, absolutely. We see at least Dani, even though we may not like the game necessarily that she's playing, she is playing hard. Tyler is playing hard. I think a lot of props need to go to Bailey for changing how she played her first season of Big Brother. So we see some people playing, but we see way too many laying back, not doing a damn thing. And especially like Ian realizing, oh shit, like I may have laid back too much. He was so worried about being a target, and now he's like, oh my gosh, like I'm in such a bad position. Yes, that's what we've been trying to say for 4 weeks now. So frustrating.
Yeah. And Bailey tweeted yesterday. So the house guests are getting the tweet from the house, and Bailey tweeted yesterday about how she's making such a conscious effort to tone back her attitude. She knows she can pull it off if she can tone back that attitude, which has been a flaw for her in Big Brother and the challenge. So yeah, she's really trying to keep her zen, stay calm. And so Bailey is playing a great game. But agree, what we expect of an all-star season is here, and we're still kind of low. So yeah. All right, guys. So that brings us to the end of our episode. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow. Special guest James will be on from BB6 and BB7. It's going to be great. He played with Kaysar. He played with Janelle. So we're going to give him the hot takes that you guys are giving us on Nicole's game. So don't forget to check out. It's going to be, I'm sure James is going to have all of the hot tea for us. Check us out on Instagram. Drop us those questions on Instagram and Twitter at RealiTEA_TRHS, RealiTEA_TRHS. Ask us your questions for James there. And don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, comment on our YouTube broadcast. And we will continue bringing you guys the great content that we are. Y'all have a great day. Spilling the tea. Cheers to that. Bye, guys.
Bye.